But anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome to season 6, episode 3, LNPG's expert lock-in. It's about our 65th, roughly our 65th lock-in webinar tonight. And we're joined by Kerry, who has the same fondness for last names as me. She's got two for herself, as have I. So Kerry Billington Oates, the owner of Worktop Warehouse, who are LNPG's newest, oh, here we go, it's already, the live stream's already started, newest and indeed only premium worktop provider. And premium worktops effectively means, in this case, stone worktops. So Kerry's been with us about 7 months now, reasonably new into the fold, but she did come in with some familiarity of LNPG and how it's all worked. So before we get kicked off into the presentation and everything that you've got to talk about tonight, Kerry, I just wanted to ask how it's been going. How have you been finding the landlord market? Because it's something that a lot of suppliers struggle with initially.
To be fair with you, it's a bit of a shake-up. I've been educated by all the members. I think I expected a slightly more experienced person, but now I've realised that we're there to support everyone as much as we possibly can, even down to the plans, to designing, to the colours. I think I'm now seeing my role more as an advisory role.
I'm very glad that you said that. So it's not far off what we usually hear, and I'm just thinking as I'm going into this, because we're kind of heading into presentation territory now. So I'll hold on to my next comment for a second. As you will have seen as you entered the room, everyone, the meeting is being recorded. We're also being live streamed on the LNPG Facebook group as well. So that means if you don't want to be recorded, you don't want your name on the recording, do feel free to switch off your camera, anonymize your name, or if you're feeling extra sensitive tonight, probably shouldn't say sensitive, a bit offensive, isn't it? If you're feeling extra concerned about your privacy, then you can exit the Zoom group here and watch via the live stream on our Facebook group as well. So that bit's out of the way. My name's Anthony Bailey-Grice. I'm the Managing Director of LNPG. I'm here tonight with Bhavesh Grania, who's the man behind the slides.
Hi all. My name's Bhavesh. I'm the marketing executive, or as Nick likes to call, the marketing guru of LNPG.
Yes. And he also likes to forget your name and call you, I think he calls you B sometimes.
Yeah, it's just easier for him.
And of course, Kerry. So just going back to what we said a second ago. So it's more of an advisory role, and the expertise of private landlords is lower than you expect. This is such a good way to start it, I think, because there's two surprises, I think, for a lot of new suppliers. Number one is exactly what you said. There's maybe an expectation of a trade level of knowledge from a lot of, because that's kind of the customers that you're used to. But the other thing is also that the positive side, I guess, is a lot of our suppliers usually expect landlords to buy at the real bottom end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So only buy the cheapest available and kit out their properties with, whatever crap they can find, to be perfectly honest. Now, you're as a premium worktop provider, and yes, we're going to be talking about people's own homes as well here. But if that were the case, we would never have brought you on board.
Exactly. I'm finding now that everyone's listening to what I'm saying, taking it on board, and they're realising now that they're missing a trick. I believe that all the landlords in LNPG aren't grabbing the opportunity to use Worktop Warehouse and the membership to the full advantage for their own properties, and not only that as well for the actual other leaseholds or HMOs or anything at all like that they've got.
And she says that with absolutely no bias, by the way, guys. She's got no skin in the game for that one. No, you're right. I think initially it's something that people will put into their own homes. But of course, high-end HMOs, serviced accommodation, I mean, at the prices that we're buying it at, it is such a change for those kinds of properties. Yeah. So as we proceed with tonight, guys, we've got the chat box at the bottom of the screen here. So I'll just type something in. If you've got any questions, stick them right here throughout. If they're particularly pertinent to what we're talking about, then we'll read them out as Kerry goes on. Otherwise, and we've had a couple of brave contenders in recent weeks, feel free to just unmute yourself and jump in. Now, unless you've got a question, try not to unmute yourself. As I said, any questions, keep them coming throughout the night, and we will have a section at the end as well. Over to you, Carrie.
Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for your time this evening. Let's get rocking and rolling. Go for it, Bav. So basically, what we offer all LMPG members is maximum discount for trade for granite, quartz, ceramic, and acrylic worktops. Yes, the luxury, yes, the top end, but I believe that the landlords and people in there need this type of product. We don't just supply it, we manufacture it, we fabricate it on site, we do full templates, and we do installations, so you have no hassle at all from start to finish. We're finding that a lot of people don't want the hassle of the quartz. Firstly, they don't want to lift it, they don't want to manufacture it, and they don't want the headache of the installations. Now we can do this in restaurants, houses, bars, HMOs, apartments. You tell me where you want it, we can definitely do it. But let me tell you a little bit about me and my background and where I've come from. I've been doing and specialising in worktops for the last 17 years. I basically was working for somebody else, started off as a sales manager, worked my way up to the business then turning over around £8 million per year. And we literally started at the grassroots. We only sold 2 colours, and that was all that was available in the whole of the industry. And that was a black granite and a star galaxy. Now, if anyone's ever had these, you know that that literally is, it was limited. So from there, I've learned the trade. I've realised by a lot of mistakes, and also from what other people have done and different technologies. And about 5 years ago, I made the brave move and literally thought, I'm going to do it myself. And over the 17 years, I've realised and honed in that I want to be a bit of a leader of the game. And not only that, I actually want to be thinking ahead and doing more of a service, rather than just thinking, grinding on site, doing the sinks on site, dust everywhere, errors, injuries. Just, it's not the way I wanted to push the business. So since joining LMPG, we've had to have some major changes in the business, meaning the staffing levels, meaning the machinery, meaning basically everything above what we do behind the scenes, we've had to make some improvements on.
Kerry, I had absolutely no idea about that. I knew you bought a machine, but that was effectively the extent of my knowledge. So can you go into a little bit more detail?
Yeah, of course. When we very first started 17 years ago, we only sold 2 colours. These were 2 granite colours, and literally they didn't even have saws or anything to do it. They had to get guys to do all the cutouts, the sink cutouts by hand, the drainer grooves by hand. And the company I used to work for didn't do it in a factory, they did it in people's front gardens. So wow. It was a job basically not for the faint-hearted. It used to take 2 to 3 days to manufacture 1 full installation. So it was a real challenge.
What's the time scale on that now?
I can manufacture a full job in probably an hour and a half in the factory, which then makes the installation to about 2 hours.
Wow.
So it's a complete and utter game changer to the industry. I'm trying to be ahead of the game because I want to be part of it. I really quite want to be a leader in it. And not only that, there's not many women doing what I do. So straight away, I'm up against it. But again, I'm willing to learn. And that's where I feel that I've learned from all the other mistakes. And it's a costly mistake. Let's think, a big full piece of material is over £1,000. And if it's cut wrong by 1 millimetre even, it's going straight in the skip.
Wow. It's not going in a smaller kitchen, perhaps?
Usually not, no, because it's all bespoke. I might have to get a few different ones, but everything's made bespoke. So we've changed everything from the formats, even to the point where people used to turn up on site with a back of a cigarette packet and do a drawing. It's completely changed. The whole industry has to change.
Mm. Okay.
Gary, you mentioned, of course, you started around 17 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then back then, and then even still now, when it comes to, like you said, there's not hardly any females in the industry that
No.
take this step. So what made you pull the trigger? What made you decide this is what I want to do as my own business?
I was running the other company like my own business 7 days a week. And I realized that they wasn't trying to change. They were just happy and being in the same happy bubble. They were making amazing money. They were doing a reasonable service, but the aftercare was shocking. And most of my day was taken up putting fires out, dealing with problems. They wasn't happy with this. They didn't expect us to turn up and grind for 3 hours and dust everywhere. So I basically thought there's some definite changes I need to make. And I could see then that people are actually coming to me rather than the company. They was actually coming to me to place the orders. So I literally then opened 3 of the branches across the UK doing what we were doing. And then we slowly but surely got better, but still at that point, they were still cutting on site. There were still limitations on the importation colours, and there was only really doing granites. Quartz only came into the actual mix maybe about 8 years ago. So even then, it was still heavy, it was still cumbersome. There was massive risk there for errors, and we were doing it. We were a little bit behind the times, a little bit rugged and rough. And now, since joining and doing it myself, I've honed it. I've basically fine-tuned everything to make it attention to detail, even down to the machinery that they use, the staff that we've got on board, the service that we're offering, and the most importantly is the aftercare.
And why would they change? Because they had it easy. They had you figuring out all their problems for them.
Yeah, and literally I was doing that 7 days a week. So it's been a massive learning curve. It's not been enjoyable all the times, but I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm not really motivated by the financial aspect, but I just want to do a good job. But it sounds crazy, but it's my little baby and I have to sleep at night. So I do want it to be right for everyone. And that's what I'm quite proud of. I believe that's one of my biggest strengths, is that I'm a solution finder. And I think I really do. People come across, they realise that I'm interested and want to do the best.
So this is more so going more in depth in terms of Worktop Warehouse itself. And the processes behind the scenes, of course, like with members and stuff, they get, from the moment they place their order or they contact you in regards to placing an order, they see what's going on their perspective in terms of what, the communication that goes between yourself and them. But how would you describe the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that they may not see?
To be fair with you, it's not for the faint-hearted. I think it's like a little bit of a swan moment where we're all calm on the top, but behind and under the water we're flapping a little bit. It's basically the major things that we have that we struggle with at times are stock levels, especially this time of year, and especially with all the COVID dramas. The stocks across the whole of the world have been a nightmare. The other things that we have as well is that the actual kitchens might not arrive on time. That's detrimental to me being able to attend and do the template and also do the installations. So that's going to delay my time. And generally, that's the only bugbears that we have. So we've now got things in place, meaning the manufacturing level. So dependent on the job, depends on how we're going to react and the difficulty of the job. So we can either use Corex to do the template, or we can do a laser to do the template. And then to deal with the actual demand of all the members, we've actually invested in a new machine as well, a brand new CNC machine. So we've actually got 2 saws running. We've got a edge polisher. We've got all the laser technology there. And then we've now, due to all the demand that's needed, we've now dedicated Natalie, who's unfortunately not here tonight, but she basically is the dedicated LMPG trade specialist. Now, she is your #1 port of call. She will deal with anything at all hours. It's not a 9 to 5 type of job. We literally start installations from 7 a.m. up to, even we've got an installation, my phone's blowing up now as we speak, but we've got an installation that's going on at the moment in Leicester, because we can't leave people without worktops. It's the last thing generally in the kitchen. So that delays the whole plumbing. As soon as we're done and the kitchen worktops are installed, basically you've got a usable kitchen. So we try and make the speed of the optimization from basically template to installation within 7 days. Now that's a pressure, but it's a pressure that I work well under. But we generally can make it and tweak it at times. But if there's anything where there's a change of it, it's a stock level issue, or there's some damage that's happened on the stone, or I do a quality check and I'm not happy to give you the stone, I will literally just stop and ring you direct and tell you, make you aware that there may be a delay. We'll do our utmost to stop the delays, but we've got to be understandable that I want it right. I want it right first time.
So in a case like that, Kerry, and by the way, we've had a message in through the chat just then from Sian saying that Natalie's been fantastic for her installation. In a case where you see the stone and you say, right, that's not good enough, what kind of delay are we talking about? Because you're an importer, right? If that's going to come from another country.
Yeah, well, to be fair with you, I buy in mass. So in my, as you've seen, in my factory, I've got around 200 to 300 slabs. And we have generally 7 slabs, the most contract range that you guys, and what we're finding the trends that LMPG members are using, I've stocked highly on them to avoid delays, to avoid problems, and especially this time of year, I have to be prepared for every eventuality. So we do numerous quality checks. We do a quality check as it arrives for the slab itself. We do a quality check as it arrives on the actual saw under UV light and under a brighter light. So, but it still gets past us sometimes. We then, once it's been manufactured, we do a quality check before it even leaves the factory. And before the guys install it in daylight, we then do another quality check on the stone for marks, for blemishes, for chips, for anything at all. So it's highly, highly stressed at that point that everything that goes in the property should be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And to be honest, like you mentioned, in terms of working hours and stuff, I was looking at your website today and I realized that it said something like 7 or 8 a.m. or maybe 9 a.m. until 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring this up with Ant saying, is that a typo or what's going on there? But then now that you mention it, I realized that you guys are literally on all day, every day.
Well, what we're finding is people, especially landlords, go at home, get the designs and think, do you know what, I'll try and get a price. And with that type of company, because it's a family business at the end of the day, it's very personal. We want it to be personal. I don't want to be a big global faceless company. I want people to know who I am and who Natalie is, and we all want to work together as a team. But if we see an email, we say no. We might reply and say, we'll get back to you in the morning, but literally we'll try and price things straight away. But on the next couple of slides, you'll also realise what we've put in place as a business to make that a little bit easier for all the LMPG members as well.
Brilliant. And before we do go to the next couple of slides, we've got a message come through from Rick on the chat saying, quick question, are you national? Yes,
we cover the whole of the UK. We're based in Cheshire, in Duckingfield, but we do cover the whole of the UK. Scotland, you tell us, we basically can do it. You just have to give us a bit more knowledge of the postcode area and the installation, because sometimes the LMPG members are telling me where you are, but your property could be 300 miles down the road. So just be very clear with us of where it actually is and where the installation site is.
You mentioned the UK there. You're including Northern Ireland?
Not as yet, but that's what I'm looking at very, very shortly. That's my next hurdle for 2023.
Okay.
I'm not looking forward to it, but I keep getting asked all the time. But like I said, I want to be a specialist in what we do. And I think at the moment, there's enough to be going out there, really.
One of the big things, and we'll see your thoughts on this in a second, Kerry, that our previous manufacturer, and I won't mention them by name, but they had granite in the name. Yes. And when I think stone worktops, I think granite all the time. Now, having spoken to you over the last 7 months, spoiler alert, you do a lot more quartz than you do granite. Now,
we only do quartz generally. In all of the jobs from LMPG, we've actually done one granite job in 7 months.
Which it really baffles me. It really does, because not that knowing what I know now, it makes sense. But when you're going into it, these inquiries of granite, and this is a question for you and also for the landlords here tonight as well, the members here tonight. When you're looking at stone worktops, just pop in the chat. Are you going for granite? Are you going for quartz? I would expect most people are inquiring about granite initially, but I might be dead wrong.
I think people now realise that they get the design from any type of kitchen company, from Magnet, from wherever, and they have the vision. It's a visual. Yeah, they get all the renders, they get everything like that. No renders now generally are of dark worktops. The fashion, the design over the last 10 years has gone from black worktops, white doors, and bit by bit it's evolved, and it's now gone to generally white doors, grey doors, and lighter tops to make the room look larger, to make it look bigger. But you can't generally have a granite that's whites or lights because they're so porous. It's an absolute nightmare.
Can you have a quartz that's dark then?
Yes. So they still do the black quartz, but they're not shiny, because obviously I'll go into the technology of quartz, but quartz basically is a crushed up stone. So whereas the beauty of the granite is it's nicely glossy, it's high shine, it's high sheen. So one of the #1 sellers is a Zimbabwe black, which is a granite. And when I was mentioning when I very first started in the industry 17 years ago, that was the major seller. That stone basically we can do in a quartz, but it's matte, it's dull. So anything from the grey spectrum, so anything from creams, pinks, even a light blue, generally is not ideal for the kitchen. It's not made for kitchens. Fireplaces, fire hearths, gravestones, anything like that, perfect, but not for the kitchen.
Okay, right. I'm with you. I think I've put a poll out there. It's the first poll I've ever done on one of these. But I've also asked the question. I can see a few people putting quartz in already. So maybe I'm just behind the times. But no, I'll shut up now. I'll let you carry on.
No, I'll tell you the beauty of quartz, of the granite basically first. Granite is absolutely gorgeous. I love granite. I'm a lover of it because every single slab is completely and utterly unique. So we can have a piece of material that's mined here, and the slab next door to it will be completely and utterly different, whether it be a different pattern, a different shade, even down to a different polish and sheen. It's varied. But let me tell you how and what granite really is. Granite basically is a mined natural stone. So how they get the granite out is they actually dig it out. They cause massive explosions, whether it be in India, Finland, Spain, Turkey, wherever. And they basically mine the stone and they bring massive tons, 40-ton big block pieces. They then cut that individually, and then we basically bring that back to the UK or for whatever country. But it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. The downsides, it's heavy as anything. It's really, really, really a nightmare to lift. And a lot of the fitters now, of the last 5 or 6 years, because they're used to doing and installing quartz, they basically struggle lifting and basically installing the granite because it's so heavy. As we mentioned as well, regards the actual lighter spectrum colours, you have to seal it. So this is another problem, that if you have the granite installed and it might be a yellow stone, a cream stone, a pink stone, every 6 months you have to pay for a sealant. Now the sealant can be £50, £100, but it's more the time element, and it still can stain. So it's a false economy in a way. And this is why they've evolved and made the next product, which is quartz, which is a general product. 99.9% of my business is quartz.
I just want to say as well, I've received a private message while you were talking there, Kerry, from Hugh. And he said, judging by your lampshade behind you, I concur that you're behind the times, mate. And I just want to say, Hugh, I'm not having this. That is a fashionable lampshade.
So yeah, bringing back to quartz, of course, we've got the pros and cons on the screen there, but what's your take, Kerry, in terms of quartz?
The game for quartz for me is that it's really consistent. We have to buy the quartz in generally batches of 50 to 100 slabs because it's like wallpaper. It all has a batch code. Now, it might be that the batch code varies minor amounts, but everything has to match, especially if I'm putting 5 pieces together. So every slab is consistent. It also now, there's about 500 different colours of quartz. It's tolerable, it's durable, it's stain resistant, it's non-porous. So you don't have to seal it, you don't have to put treatments on it. You can put your wine glass on there or your teacup or whatever you fancy. It is not going to stain. It's low maintenance. And we're generally finding out all the LMPG members are going for this.
So, Kerry, you said that it's not going to stain, but I just want to clarify there. It will mark, but it won't stain, right?
Yes. So basically, there's a few simple products, not expensive, that will basically get every product out, down to permanent marker, down to red wine, down to turmeric. there's a way to get it out, but I'll show that later on. I think that'll be really useful for everyone.
Thank you.
Thing that you can't really do with quartz, as we're seeing big areas outside now growing, whether it be outdoor barbecue areas, garden rooms, summer houses, quartz is not really ideal for the outdoor use because it's UV reactive. So it might take 20 years to fade, but it could fade. So this is the other thing. Also, it's not heat resistant. Now, I'm a little bit naughty at times. I'll cook on mine and I'll put the pan on the side, but generally you are not meant to be doing that. As a little add-on, what we do for the LMPG members, there's chopping boards available that you can put your pans on, or even a hot rod pan holder. So it's a nice little cheeky add-on for us, but it saves any problems going further.
I can't remember what they're called now, but it's kind of like a built-in, like steel rods almost to
that literally is it. Yeah, so basically we put them, they're only about £80, they're nothing expensive, but it saves a problem happening long term. So it's basically a chopping board, and I've basically got 5 metal rods that go on there that look nice still. It ties in lovely with the design. It's not in your face, it's not a wooden chopping board, and it makes it all flow nicely in the room. I believe now that people are realizing that they can even get a cheap door for the kitchen, and they can do a full facelift, and it's a little bit of trickery, but as soon as you put the quartz worktops in there, people think you've spent lots and lots of money, and then they also think that everything else in the property they've spent an awful lot of money on. And like I said, it's a way really where they can get a real top end look. And it's hassle free, because whilst we're installing this, we can install the splashback, any windowsills, any upstands, so they don't have to have varied tradespeople in delaying the job. It's all done in one installation in 2 to 3 hours.
Perfect. And we've also got another comment coming in from Rimmel in the chat, saying that he's just placed an order last month. It's not been installed yet, but the experience has been very positive. And you know, your team has been very flexible in terms of working around his schedule and stuff. So I guess that goes back to what you said in terms of the experience and the speciality that your team has when it comes to catering to these members.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a key believer that if we take care of you guys, you'll take care of us. And I believe as well that it's a numbers game. You're not looking at one project, you'll think of us for the next plot of 10 apartments or something like that. You will think of us of every individual, even your own properties. And I believe that it's a product where you can actually invest in the actual property yourself. You don't have to change it every year. It's not going to burn, it's not going to mark. It's an investment in your property as well.
Brilliant. And now that we've dealt with granite, we've dealt with quartz, I guess acrylic is the next option.
I feel the acrylics are an area that I'm not sure if LMPG realise that we can do. It's not my key strength, I'll be honest with you. My specialisation is granite and quartz, but we can do it. The key thing about the acrylic, or a name of brand, is Corian. You probably would have heard it, seen it. It's a lovely design material. The gain of this is it can come seamless. So if you have a huge island, or it's a bar, restaurant, or something like that, universities are having these, any toilet blocks are having this at the moment, because we can shape it. So you can have circles, you can have huge sizes, and there is no seam, there's no joint in there, it's seamless, perfectly is.
So does that come down to the actual foundation of the material itself? What makes it so much easier to, you know, shape it according?
In essence, it's plastic. So it's basically a strengthened plastic that we actually board, and it's wrapped around. So you can get it in 20 mil, you can get it in looking 50 mil, we can make it look chunky. So the designs are really, really out there. We can have a perfect circle adding onto a triangle. It's beautiful look. It's low maintenance, but there is a few downsides to it. And this is what we're finding, that this is why it's not our #1 seller, because it can burn. So if you put a pan on there, 100% it will burn. It can scratch. If you use a knife or anything at all, and you actually cut it, it's plastic at the end of the day, it will mark, it will scratch, and it can discolour and it can stain. The plus side, it can be repaired very, very easily. A sanding tool, and it's very, very cheap to fix and make looking brand new again, but it's not our key #1 seller.
Okay, and speaking of burns, we've got a quick message coming in from Teresa saying, if quartz is not heat resistant, What will happen if tenants put hot pots, pans directly on top of the worktop?
99.9% of the time, nothing will happen. It's just me and the actual stone company saying, please, it's not advised for it. But let's remember, quartz is made up of heat. I'm not sure if you're aware of how quartz is made. It's made in a huge, humongous baking tray. It's crushed up quartz itself and stone and granite, and it's made with a resin that's heated under intense pressure, and it's heated up and then polished from the top, and it's literally baked like a baking tray and pops out. And that's how every piece of quartz is made. It's an engineered stone. So, but for reasons of like health and safety and stuff, we don't recommend any straight pans on there. The best solution for me, and what I would always recommend, is go for the hot rod pan solution.
Brilliant. So we've looked at the most popular options. We've looked at the most versatile options. I guess now is the time to go to, you know, something that's more up and coming, if I could call it that.
Yeah, I think this is a product that in the next 4 years, this has been a massive, massive growth. I've already looked into it, and around Europe, 40% of growth from quartz is now ceramic or porcelain. You may have heard of Decton, you may have heard of Neolith. There's lots of products out there, and there's new products coming out there that are more affordable. Decton at the moment is the most expensive product on the market. Whereas a piece of quartz that I buy for £500, for Decton it'd be around £2,500. It's an expensive piece of kit, and over time the prices will reduce, and I'm guarantee of that, and I'm sure of that. But it is absolutely beautiful. The key selling points of this product is it's non-porous, it's durable, it is not reactive to UV light, so it can be made outside kitchens, garden rooms, barbecue areas. It's great for that, and it will withstand any temperatures, to the point that we're actually trialing for a chef table in 40 restaurants. And what's happening here is the actual Decton is going to be the actual hob. So they're going to have it on a huge island section, and the oven will be underneath the Decton itself, that's only 6mm thick, and people will be cooking and having the pans on the Decton. The problem being for me, and a nightmare for me, and I'll be honest with you, I've been very scared to do it because it's high risk. Because as soon as you cut it under the wrong pressure on the saw, it doesn't just crack, it explodes like you're shattering a piece of glass. So we've had to have full training. The sales team have had to have training. I've had to have training. The manufacturing team, to the point where we only got qualified last Tuesday on this. So it's not just a quick fix, it's a real investment in the business. The tooling alone for this has been an awful lot of money to make sure that we're doing it the right way.
Have you had inquiries and orders about this then?
Not from LMPG. We've done a couple of jobs already elsewhere, but I've got to make you aware that we are doing it. So I think this is a perfect opportunity to tell people that we're doing it. It is expensive, so be aware. But for your own properties, this might be a way where you think, you know what, I'm going to go up the whole journey and go all out on this one. But it's beautiful. But it comes in 6mm, 8mm, 10mm, 20mm, and 30mm.
Okay. I'm just looking at what I can't get away from, and I agree that looks really nice, but those red points there, 3 times the price, very fragile, yes, prone to chipping. Can you repair these chips at all?
You can easily repair it, but that comes down to cost. And I don't want to do a product that's going to be problematic, whether I'm getting phone calls, whether it be a year down the line or 10 years down the line. So I want to try and do more tests on this, and I feel I need to do more tests. It's been qualified. Decton's from a company called Cosentino, which is the largest stone supplier across the whole of the world. You would have seen it everywhere. It's a Spanish stone, so it's got all the warranties, like the 25-year warranty, the same as the quartz. We're fully qualified and we're allowed to do it now, but I'm also going to trial a few other products, different manufacturers, because I feel it's more affordable, able to cross-sell it and maybe make it a more affordable product so everyone can go for it.
If I were a landlord interested in this product, what I would do is I'd wait a year and I'd give you a call in a year's time and say, how are your other jobs gone? Because yeah, for that kind of expense and those kind of risks, I don't know, I think at the minute you'd have to have more money than sense. But
The one plus we've got, Anthony, though, is this, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, we also have contract ranges for Silestone. Now, Cosentino are allowing us to offer this, which I'm actually only telling you guys tonight. I actually got the agreement today that all LMPG members, you are allowed the contract range of Silestone Cosentino. So some of the decked on colours are in there. Now, I'm talking, this is 60% discount off book price.
wow.
So it's huge savings. They're allowing LMPG to launch this. They're allowing me to give this and offer this to all LMPG members, not just for the decked on, but for any of the contract range of the Silestone colours. If some people want a brand, it's like the designer range of quartz. Now, for me, I know how it's made. It's exactly the same warranties of what we import ourselves. And on an honest note, it's made at the factory next door to it, most of the quartz. The only thing that it's not got is it's not got Silestone printed underneath the worktop, but who's going to look underneath the worktop? It all depends on what you really want. Some people, architect designers, are adamant they want Silestone, they want this brand, but the brands that we offer also in-house to all the LMPG have the still 25-year warranty on it, still has all the actual guarantees, and is made with the same percent resin content as Cosentino and Silestone.
Okay. I saw a question pop up while you were talking there about the decked on. The question being, I understand that decked on is a lot harder to shape due to it being so hard. Is that something you've come across before?
100%. I now have had to invest in new saw blades, new hand tooling, new CNC tooling. So the speed that it would have taken to do a quartz full manufacture, for example, an hour, this is now taking 4 times the actual speed. So we're having to reduce the speed of the saw head, reduce the actual speed that we can hit the actual corners, and the polishing is taking an awful lot longer to get the finish that's required.
So yeah, when it comes to choosing worktops, how does one know what's the best option?
Well, we advise it always. I'm finding a lot of the LMPG members that are contacting us, not all of them. I think a lot of them are either hopeful, dreaming, or just haven't got an idea of what the actual price of the material is. It's not a laminate. I can't price it as a laminate. It's a real luxury item and products that LMPG want to publicise as luxury. And if you're wanting something for £600, this is not the product for you. And it's not me being harsh or terrible. I want to be realistic with everyone, but I also want to be honest, upfront, and quite advisory on this one. So we're generally finding, and my advice is that most people of a property of maybe 200 to 250k are expecting granite quartz, a solid surface. Even down to new build houses now, Bellway, Persimmon Homes give this as a standard. So I'm feeling that the landlords of a value property need to be thinking as well that this could be a budget area where you could get your huge discounts from LMPG and really use it as an advantage. Now, the great thing is, as well as having the contract with the Silestone and Cosentino, we've got 3 new colours. Now, I personally love these colours to the point where I'm going to change my own worktops at home. So the colours that I love, I've got them here as well, but we've got Oro Light, the new trend in Italy. Rather than having a calicata, which is a thick veining going through, some people don't like that. They want it a little bit more subtle. So the Oro Light is a very similar stone to the calicata gold, but it's a smoke effect. So it's a real white background with a gold smoke effect, and that's on the left-hand side. The other one is a calicata grigio, which is my new all-time favourite, which is a grey smoke effect. It's been in the UK for maybe 6 months, and this is a Spanish and Italian stone. The newest stone that's literally landed yesterday, and we've not even got samples. I've just got one trial sample here, and it literally is called Carrera Shimmer. I don't know if you can really see it. I'll show you. It might show on the camera, I'm not sure. But basically it's a natural, so it's a vein of a natural Carrera, and there is a slight shimmer in there. I'm not sure if you can see the shimmer really. You can see it slightly. And this is going to be unique to the LMPG members.
I mean, to be
So
honest, you've kind of answered one of my questions there, Carrie. I was literally, one of my questions I had prepared was, what is your preference when it comes to worktops? But like I said, you've just answered it there and then.
yeah, I think the Calicata Grigio is a great seller. I think that the LMPG members, there is standard colours that you guys go for. And I think bit by bit, it's not just a plain colour people want. Yeah, they can go for plain doors and have a nicer effect, especially having a feature island or something like that. People want something rather than just having a white standard worktop, that do something with a vein or something that gives a little bit more depth and makes it a little bit more unique in the kitchen as well, more family.
Are these granites or are they quartzes?
These are quartz. You know it's a quartz because it's a white stone. So this is why it's non-porous. It's a white stone. You straight away know it's a quartz.
Okay, so these swirls that they've got in them, then they're manufactured
By hand. They're actually made by hand. So they're made in these huge pieces, and then you've got the actual ways getting made by hand. So we're finding huge trends, and over the last 7 months, I've realised that with a little bit of advisory and us knowing what to really also explaining what you guys as landlords want, there is major colours. There's 7 trending colours. The number 1 trending colour and number 1 seller is a white mirror. The white stardust is the newest stone. It's been in the UK for probably 12 months to a year and a half. It's white with a tiny subtle glitter. You've got the grey mirror. You've got the grey stardust, which again is a grey stone with a shimmer glitter through there. And the biggest shock to me has been the snowdrift. Now, the snowdrift before LMPG was one of my lowest selling stones. And all of a sudden, it's my number 3 to 4 stone now. The landlords are absolutely loving this.
So what is the snowdrift?
It's like an off-white stone with a tiny graining going through it. So it's not clinical. It's quite a warm look as well. But it's going out to the point where I've actually just got a container of it land ready to go for the demand over the Christmas period.
Wow.
To be honest, I didn't really know much about worktops when I came into this, but working with Kerry, seeing stuff through your website and everything, I do agree. Like snowdrift is one of those that I would probably put in my top 3, maybe top 2.
It's a stone.
I'm not going to mention which ones I like because, as everyone knows, I've got awful taste. Whatever I like, don't buy it. Oh, Sean said that they've got the snowdrift.
Yeah, it's a big sell. I think people are going for the snowdrift because it's a colour that in the next 10 years it'll still be in fashion. Whereas the colours like the Calicata, it's a fashion thing at the moment. The ones behind me, as you can see with all the veins, that's the Calicata. Now, again, it's been about for the last 2 to 3 years, but will it be about for the next 10 years? Who knows? So I think the colours where the stardust or the snowdrift, it's a colour, and even the Bianco Carrera, that it's going to be classic. It's going to go for the next 10 to 20 years. And don't forget, these kitchens, you're not changing your worktops every year, 2 years. It's for the full kitchen lifetime. So even after that, so the kitchen lifespan is generally 14 to 20 years for the worktops. Until you get bored of that worktop's staying there. As we mentioned before, when we very first started off 17 years ago, the industry's changed an awful lot to the point where we've now invested in laser technology. Now, this speeds things up for me as a manufacturing, but also it gives the client, I'm believing, more peace of mind. If we were turning up, and it does happen still, depending on the skill base of the templater, but if we turn up with a back of a cigarette packet and a pencil, you're thinking, what is going on here? I'm investing an awful lot of money, and what is happening? So we've now got a laser technology where we come, and it's like a video camera. So the actual camera will span across the whole of the design once the base units are fully installed and secure. And basically from there, we get it on a memory stick, and that goes straight into the saw, which is our new invested saw on the left-hand side. It's a CNC saw, 5-axis saw. It can do full circles. So it's the best saw in the world. It is the number 1 saw in the world. So we actually get the memory stick, and we basically put that straight into the saw, and it cuts the material within 10 minutes.
But what do you mean it can do full circles? Can't every saw do full circles?
No, most saws, and the very first saw that we ever got literally went forwards and backwards. And you had to either move the piece on the saw bed itself, which is heavy, strenuous, and takes a long time, or the bed itself, which is the next 2-year technology, moved and did certain degrees. So it's actually the bed that moved, not the saw head. whereas this saw head can go 5 axes and also does miters, so it can cut on an angle as well.
And do these services, like, does the member have to pay extra for these services, or is that inclusive?
No, the actual template that we do for all LMPG members is free. And that's what we agreed in the negotiations, become a member and become a partner for the LMPG members. We offer that free. It gives me peace of mind because I know it's done properly. And also it speeds us up at the very manufacturing end. And it also gives you guys more peace of mind, know it's been done properly as well.
So this is when we transition more from the manufacturing side towards, the member side of things, of what they may need to present, or what they may need to have available before they place an order.
Yeah, we're finding that LMPG members are just ringing us up and asking for Natalie or myself, and you've not got much information. This speeds things up for us. You will definitely have to have your LMPG member number. We will not be able to give you an estimate without that number. We need to know the colour and thickness, and we can advise that. We can even send out free samples to any people that want to have an actual feel the quality, see the colours. The problem that we're having, especially, is with the veined material, that the samples are not selling the stone. You are not going to have a great idea. So now we've changed our tact, and in all the meetings of all the basically directors of LMPG, we now offer videos, live calls, pictures and photos of the actual colour installed also, so you can see a full overall view. We'll then need a plan or design, or even rough measurements. It don't have to be anything detailed. Your full name, the installation address and details, and all your full contact details. We will need your telephone number and email address. We don't pass this anywhere else. It's not getting direct marketed, it's all secure, but we have to have this to be able to do the estimate.
One thing I noticed isn't on there that you mentioned earlier on, and perhaps it's not something to put in an email or something, but I would expect an early conversation budget to come up, because as you mentioned, if someone's got an expectation of spending £600 or whatever it is, then they're wasting their time and you're wasting your time, really.
Exactly.
Because, to be blunt, you just can't get it that much.
Sorry, so the average price and the average sale from all the LMPG, and we've worked this out, is averaging around £2,850. Now that's still a huge save, but that's the average price for the worktops. So if someone's thinking it's a £600 or £1,000, in reality, it's more of a laminate type project, that one for them.
That's supply and installation and everything.
That's templated, supplied, manufactured and installed on any of the products. That's not just the worktops, that's generally all the add-ons as well. That's the upstands, the chopping board, the windowsills and the splashbacks. So it's all done in the one hit and a full service within the 7 days.
Okay, brilliant. We've got a question from Q here about kind of pricing and budget and that kind of thing. So hopefully we can get into a little bit more detail later, but that's a great start to that.
Yeah, of course.
And speaking of the 7 days from order to installation, that's literally our next slide. So talk us through the process that takes place.
Of course, the LMPG member sends us an email with a plan, design, or even verbally does it over the phone. We then do the estimate. A lot of other companies take 4 or 5 days to get the price over. The agreement that we've got with the directors at LMPG is that we have to try and make this more instant, and that's why we are open till 11 o'clock at night. So we get the estimate sent out to you guys. We then get the price agreed. We then book the templating and the installation. To book the template and installation, we will need a small deposit. It's not huge amounts, it's 10%. That basically locked down is the price. It locks down the full deal and locks down the template date and installation dates.
And at this point, you mentioned earlier on, for the template, you need the base units already installed, right?
Yes, yeah, we basically need everything in position. Now, I think on the following slide, it'll be more advisories that we do, but we need to have the kitchen in place. And we attended one of the LMPG ones at the very start, our very first maiden voyage. I think it's the second or third one, and I think they were that excited. We turned up and the kitchen wasn't even installed; it was still in boxes. So it was
So they had the kitchen, but
they had the kitchen. Yeah, it just wasn't installed. So it was a massive learning curve for me. So we've now streamlined our question a little bit more. So we need the kitchen to be fully installed, the base units in, not moving in full location. We also need to have the sink on site, any hob on site, tap on site, everything needs to be there so we can get a detailed template. If there's any information missing, we will have to delay the installation. And then the risk is also then on you. If you give me the information that's incorrect, you've got the full liability of, if it's cut wrong and it's a millimetre wrong, it's a lot of risk.
Yeah, well, the reality is you don't want to be finding out when it's being installed, do you?
No, not at all. So from there may be some changes. They may add a windowsill, they might reduce a worktop, they might add a curved radius on it. So we then agree and tweak the final price to what they're actually having. We then send a final contract to all the members, and then the member agrees it in writing. And at that point, then we hit the button, we put it into full manufacture, and then from there, it's loaded on the van and it's installed. And that whole process, basically from the template to the installation, is within 7 days.
And you mentioned the advisories and everything, but I think before we get into that, and bear with my technical issues in this, this is my first time doing this, but I think it'd be a great idea if we could demonstrate, you know, how a member would go about in terms of getting estimates, getting more information when it comes to.
Are we jumping on the online tool?
I'll try to.
Is that what we're doing? You're going rogue?
Let's see if it works.
Well, while you fiddle about with that, then I've got a couple of questions here. If replacing the worktop in an existing kitchen, can you remove the old worktops, or will they need to find someone else to do that?
There is two options. We don't really like to get involved with removal of the worktops. Reason being is we are not qualified plumbers, we are not gas safe engineers. So, but there is a way we can help and assist, because as soon as you remove them worktops, you have not got a usable kitchen. So what we can actually do is we can template with the existing worktops on. So that speeds things up. But you'll still need the new sink if you're having one, the new hob. And again, you'll have to be generally having the upstands, because most existing worktops, it is probably going to be laminate, which is 40 millimeters, which will leave a bigger gap than a standard 20 or 30 mil worktop. So the upstands generally will advise that you will need that, because again, once you take them worktops off, we don't know the condition of the walls and stuff like that. Can you
just go back to the depth of a laminate worktop?
Yeah.
Leaves a bigger gap. What does that mean?
So the laminate worktop is generally 38 to 40 millimeters. Our most popular worktop is 20 millimeters. So you're talking, there's a huge difference.
So if you're tiling right down to the worktop, then you're going to have a 20 mil gap.
Yes, because a lot of people love the tiles also. They don't even want to damage the tiles. So the actual option then, and the solution to that, is that we do the 20 mil worktop, and then we have an upstand, which is like a skirting board that joins the worktop to the wall. And we can even go slightly higher than 100 mil. We can go to a tile line, but that just is the solution, and it covers the problem of what's behind the wall.
Yeah. And the problem with the tiles as well is if you're taking the worktop off, sometimes the tiles come with it if they've been in situ for a long time and they're right down to the bottom. So always try to leave a gap. Bav, you're on the screen. Should we let you run?
Yeah, like you mentioned, I am kind of going rogue on this. Not really practice this, but yeah, let's see how it goes. So I guess let's go to the partner login here on the top right. And then talk me through this, Kerry. What do I do once I've logged in?
Of course. So what we've basically done is we've designed this, and it's for LMPG members. Because if at 7 o'clock we're not able to give you an estimate, or you're thinking over a weekend or on a Sunday, I wonder if I can afford this, I wonder if it's actually possible, you can actually now log in with your own username and password. We just have to set you up on it. And then, so for example, we've given Bav his own username and password. So let's go for this. Let's give him some measurements and let's see if the estimate works. And let's see how quick and easy it really is.
I think you're going to be busy this evening, because I think you're going to get approximately 30 people requesting access to this now. Because if I'm understanding what you're saying, you can price up your own job effectively.
Yeah, and I will also put on there, I've even indicated to make it easy for the LMPG members, the pound signs. So the ones that are the £1 signs are your contract range. They're the ones where it's more affordable, and then you go more of the bespoke, the £2 signs, the £3 signs. Every stone is a varied price, but your discount is applied to this.
So just to confirm, LMPG members, they mainly want to look for the £1 sign in terms of the discounts that are there, and then the £2 signs are the more
slightly more expensive, and then the £3 signs are really the top end of the quotes that we offer. Again, if it's your own property, you might think, you know what, I'm gaining the LMPG discount, I'll go for an investment because I really love this worktop, so why not? But
I might be shooting myself in the foot here, Kerry, but the LMPG contract, is that for all of these stones?
Yes, the discount, and the same discount is applied on every single one of them stones. And there's a granite range if you click up there also.
I'm so glad you said that.
But what I've also done is, just so you're aware, I've tried to indicate it and make it easy for all the LMPG members, and indicate it by basically £1 sign. That's
absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
Just to make it a bit easier.
So let's see if we can add some stuff to the basket then. Should we get some snowdrift in there?
Yeah, so go to ports then, Beth, please. So go to the very top first, because you've got to put your location.
Okay.
So always try and put a reference, everyone, please. That just makes it an awful lot easier, because if you have 10 different plots or 10 different sites or properties, we can indicate which one. So put a postcode in, put your home postcode.
Don't put your home postcode, put an LE10 0NF.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, let's just go with the LMPG office on this one.
Since you are live on the internet right now.
Of course.
So
just choose any of them. It doesn't matter, any address, it doesn't matter.
Trinity House is where we are.
There we go.
Okay, scroll it down.
Yep.
Choose the colour. So go for whichever colour you want to go for.
I think I'm going to go with one of my top twos. I'll go with Snowdrift.
Snowdrift, didn't we?
Good decision. Keep going down. And now it comes down to the thickness of the stone.
Can we select more than one?
No, each estimate is individual for each colour. So It's not that intelligent yet, the system, but we might get there in the future. But at the moment in time, one thing at a time.
Okay. And we've got 20 mil or 30 mil there.
Most of the clients are going for 20 mil. We very rarely do the 30 mil. 20 mil is the way, because it actually, for a design aspect, it flows with the end panels. So you'll see on most of the photos, most of the jobs we've done for LMPG members, they are 20 mil.
Okay, and then Kerry, where do I go from here? What do I do next?
Okay, at the moment in time, we do offer another option of chamfering and the edge profile, but it's very costly. So I'm trying to keep it in the scope and making it affordable for the landlords, so they're not spending far too much. So there's one edge profile, which is a double chamfer, and also that's the one that's available, so that's fine. Keep going down. And now this is where it gets interesting. So the actual system understands it as a length of material is 700 wide, no more, up to 3.2 long. So if you want to have a couple of goes and put a few sizes in there, I think it'd be useful.
So if we go with, like, say 1200 in terms of length,
by 600, for example.
600 for width, yeah.
Put a few more pieces in.
Okay, and then let's do
I'm going to go get my charger, 2 seconds.
Okay, no worries.
You're leaving Bav to just make up numbers here.
Put a bigger piece, 2.6, 2,600.
Okay,
so I'm assuming this is where it all goes pear-shaped.
So for this one, Bav, actually, for the width, can you just put in 350? Because I'm wondering whether it's only going to charge you half there, because it's split down the middle.
So it doesn't let me do 3. Oh no, it does. I think, yeah, so as long as it's up to 700 millimeters, we should be good.
And then I put an island in there. So that's the worktops fully covered. And then below is anything that we call a breakfast bar, an island, a peninsula. So that can go up to 3.2 long and up to 1630 wide.
All right, and what are we thinking for this one?
Well, the average
3200 1630, as big as we can get.
That's the biggest you can get. The average islands are about 900. So do 2 meters, 2000 by maybe 900.
Okay.
That's it. We don't need another one.
I was going to say, do we really need more than one island? So then when it comes to sink cutter options, I think we'll just wait for Kerry to come back on this one.
Too many options. Let's say undermounted polished cut, inset unpolished sink, Belfast polished sink. Let's put a Belfast sink in there. Just the one.
Oh,
drainer grooves. This is good. half semi-recessed drainer full. I think you're right. I think we need Kerry.
We need a professional on this one.
Wow.
One second, I'm back. I'm back in the room. Okay, so let's see where we are now. Let's go into this one. So undermounted sink. So you're going for Belfast. Are you having the drainer grooves? Most popular ones?
Are they the ones on the left?
Yeah, so basically it's the flute. So I go drainer grooves, one set of drainer grooves.
Okay, so what's a half semi-recessed drainer?
So basically a semi-recessed drainer, it's very expensive, but what it actually does, it retains the water in them sections. The drainer grooves do not work. It's aesthetic only. So because the drainer grooves are just flat on a piece of material, so they're not going to drain, but it's just for look. When people have quartz or granite, they demand that look.
And I'm assuming
that people are spending £400 on something that doesn't work.
No, £400 will work. The normal drainer grooves, the standard grooves, yeah, which is the basic standard grooves.
Oh, they're the ones that are built. Yeah, okay.
They are just flush. The semi-recessed drainer. In fact, give me 2 seconds. I'll try and show you now because I've actually got one in the showroom. 1 sec.
She's off
again. We're really going rogue now. 2 seconds.
Let's put in a standard hob cut out as well, but see if we can keep this.
Can you see that?
All right.
So basically, that is a retainer groove. That is the actual recess where the water goes in, and it's got a full edge, so the water will go down.
Okay, so is that recessed or semi-recessed?
That's a semi-recessed.
What's a recessed one?
Where it goes on all the way around the other side as well. Usually when they've got 2 sets of drainer grooves.
Okay.
So that's when you're looking at like the most premium product, right?
Yeah. We've not had any LMPG members go for that option as yet.
I'm assuming when it comes to fully recessed though, in terms of like maintenance and durability, that's like the best option available, right?
Yes, of course. If someone's having their own house, it's definitely an option that I'd suggest, but generally it's a lot for look. So they're not even thinking, and most people have got dishwashers, so they're not generally going to be washing up much anyway.
All right. And then what we're thinking in terms of optional extras, how much are
Well,
you
we've got to have the upstands, right? So
Yeah.
How do we put those in?
So these are on linear meters. So just put 8 linear meters of upstand. So put number 8 in there.
Yep.
That's a lot, isn't it?
No, the general kitchen is about 10 to 12 meters, not square meters, linear meters, just lines.
Okay.
And then the windowsill, put a windowsill in there.
All right. How many meters are we thinking? Well, millimeters are we thinking?
Do 1500.
Yep.
And the standard depth windowsill is 230. So put that in there as well.
All right.
Now go for a cooker splashback.
Okay. And what are we thinking in terms of splashbacks?
Sorry about the one above because that's a full height.
Sorry.
Yeah, so do 700 by 760. That's it.
Yep.
And then keep going down. And these are the real options where they can have an end panel, they can have mitered corners, they can have pop-up sockets, they can have lights put under the actual worktops themselves, they can have a full curve and arch on it. We can really go crazy. The biggest fashion that we notice as well is the downdraft extractors. So when they've got a nice appliance and a hob, an induction hob, and then they have behind it the downdraft extractor, when they hit a button, it just pops straight back up. So we can do that as well.
What we're thinking, Anne? Do you see anything in particular that you want to
We'll need a tap hole.
Yeah, the tap's got to come through.
All right. How many? Just one for the sink?
This got very complicated very quickly.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't expecting this level of complexity.
Keep going down.
Brilliant. I love the fact that, you've literally thought of everything when it comes to the process. So that
even down to the dog bowl.
Exactly, yeah. So there's literally no options where the member might think, oh, I need this, but there's nowhere I can get it.
And then create the estimate.
Okay, because I think it's nice to get an idea, but I wouldn't want to specify anything.
No, and like we're not going to hold the client to this. But what we're going to do is it gives them an idea to see if it's possible. It also gives them an idea at this point, if they feel secure, I am not going to cut these sizes. Obviously, it has to be checked, it has to be templated, and things do change. Even from a magnet quote, I will never cut from that. And I get asked that all the time. We still have to measure it on site.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, yeah, because if anything changes, they're up 2.5-3 grand. So that's come up to almost exactly what you said the average order was, isn't that?
Yeah.
Isn't that good?
And then from there, we edit that as well. And obviously,
so what happens when they hit complete booking?
They hit complete booking. They agree to all our advisories, which are given a big list of advisories, do's and don'ts, what we need to be on site. So basically, existing worktops either need to be off, and if not, we have to be made aware, because then I have to say the specialised templater to measure it with the worktops on. It's a bit of a different task. They have to have the kitchen base units fully fitted to the wall and floor. They have to make sure the sink, the hob, everything's on there on site. They need to make sure if they're having a downdraft extractor, that's there. And really, that's it. The other thing we're finding and we're having a problem with is a lot of the members are leaving their builder to have the final say on the kitchen, whether it be on template or installation. So I'd like a decision maker to be there, because they've got to check it and sign it off as well on the actual template and on installation.
Yeah.
And the major thing that we're finding, not often now, because I believe that we've got it at the very start, if somebody's got a dishwasher or a washing machine or a dryer or something like that, that has got no supports in that unit. That is basically just an appliance that's been put in a box. So additional supports will have to be needed to be done, whether it be a batten drill to the wall, which we can advise and help with, or anything like that, but they have to happen before we go to install, because under the weight of the worktop on installation, it will falter and the joint will go. So we have to make sure all the supports are perfect.
And so it's great to hear you say that today, of course. But when they hit complete order, someone's having a phone call with that member, someone's having a conversation with that member to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we basically get an email straight away saying an order's come through, and then we'll ring them, make sure they're happy with it, and tweak the dates as well and get more facts, because it's okay saying, yes, my kitchen's be ready on this day, but in reality, even up to the week before, we're always in touch. Even the day before the template, we also ring with a time. We try and communicate all the way through. So also, you're not wasting all your day at home. We even can give you a phone call half an hour before, so you can carry on with your full day's work or whatever you're doing, and then get there for the actual appointment.
Yeah, especially if the property's 300 miles away, which in some cases it is.
We've got a quick question coming in from Angela saying, how do members get access to the estimate tool? Do they need like a special, like for instance, you provided me with a login. How do they get access to that?
Just give me a call, or give Natalie a call, or drop us an email, and we'll send you your own bespoke username and password. And from there, if you want me to guide you through it, I can do. It is very, very simple. I think we made it look a bit difficult today, but it's very, very easy. The average estimate's taken for about 4 to 5 minutes.
I think it's a really great tool to get an idea.
Yeah.
You can have an approximation of what it's going to cost, and if it's 100 quid one way, 100 quid the other way because you need to add or remove things, fine. But it's a great opportunity to get a kind of yardstick measurement. So we've got, just thinking, you mentioned about contacting you guys there. We've got some contact information in here somewhere, right? There it is. So right, members, write this down. Natalie@worktopwarehouse.co.uk. I'm expecting a flood of emails to Natalie this evening saying, please can I have access to the tool? And I think, Kerry, it'd be really worthwhile us having this on the Worktop Warehouse page of our website as well, because it's not something that I'd seen before as well.
Well, it's taken me 6 months to design this, and there's no other company in the UK that have got it. So it's been blood, sweat and tears. If you remember, we discussed this when we actually joined the partnership and
this is the tool that you said to me would be ready by Christmas, and that was last Christmas.
It was, and since then I've gone a lot grayer since then, I promise you. But we got there in the end, but it's working perfectly. It's taken a lot of problems to the point where the future aspects of it is I can then start putting depth on another products in there.
Absolutely. No, it looks really good, and yeah, if there's any kind of issues that the members have, do feel free to send them over to us or send them over to Kerry, and we'll get those resolved. So look, it's been fantastic tonight. I've really enjoyed it. I didn't think we would talk so much about worktops, but if anyone's got any final questions, pop them in the chat now. We'll run through those. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Kerry. I've really enjoyed it. And Bav, by the way, excellent job.
Well done, Bav.
I'm getting the hang of this.
A lot of pressure that you stuck to it. I don't have any questions flooding in, so I'm going to assume that they've all been they've all been answered. But if you do have any further ones, do feel free to get in touch with Kerry, get in touch with Natalie. Kerry, have you got anything to add before we say goodnight?
Yeah, the one final thing. Basically, there's always a pressure. Up to Christmas Eve, we will be installing. Ideally, on the 23rd is our last installation date. So we will be doing templates a week earlier, which is the 16th. It's your last day. If you've got any projects that you want in December, my advice is book in early, because we are already 10% overbooked. Now, LMPG take priority over everyone, but in reality, be a bit more forward planning, especially in the December period.
Well, hopefully some members will switch off around Christmas, but that's not usually the case. So make sure you get that tool beforehand so you can sit at Christmas dinner designing your worktops. I've got a question here for me, actually, rather than you, Kerry, which is Rexel with 5 question marks. Roger, we are working on it, I promise you, and it's endlessly frustrating that it's taking so long, because this should have been done 2 months ago. We want to make sure that the price is right, but if you do have any electrical wholesale inquiries at the minute, get in touch with the office and we can put you through. We've been putting members through, and we in fact actually did about £10,000 worth of business with them last month, and we've not even launched. So I was gobsmacked at that. But yeah, I'm hoping that it's not going to be too far in the future. I really want to get them on this series of webinars.
So yeah, I think that pretty much covers this episode. This was season 6, episode 3. Again, thank you very much, Kerry, for joining us and giving us all this additional detail when it comes to worktop side of things. I'm sure, I mean, to be honest, I don't know about the other members, but I've learned quite a lot from this experience. But yeah, any final thoughts, any final remarks?
Let's get some pictures on your wall first, mate, before you start putting the...
I'm trying to keep a minimalistic look going.
Well, look, any style choice you make, the members will have you for it, like they do me. But thank you so much, Kerry. Thanks, Bav, and members, of course. Thank you for joining us tonight. We've got, who have we got next? We've got Ambient Heating, which is an infrared heating company. They're brand new. We've not even launched them yet. We've only had a couple of conversations, but this is kind of the next stage of where heating's going. There's a few different avenues in infrared heating. If you've heard of Helios, if you've heard of Ambient before, that's what we're going to be discussing. So keep an eye out for the registry emails that will be hitting your inboxes in the next few days. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.